Well, hey, it's Dave here. Welcome to this episode of the How to Raise Capital 101 show for real estate investors. And today's episode is kind of fun because it's a snippet of an interview that I did with an old friend, Jillian Irving, who's a very successful student rental real estate investor. So we did this interview for my Property Profits Real Estate podcast, but there was part of it that I wanted to pull out and put here because it's all about what Gillian does to attract joint venture partners and investors for her deals. And she's doing really well with this. And it's all around getting out there. So I think you'll really enjoy this little lesson. So have a listen and let me know what you think.
There are millions of real estate investors out there, and most are stuck with just a couple of properties. They want financial freedom, but their small portfolio ends up costing them more in time, effort, and money than it's worth. Getting out of the rat race seems harder than ever. This show will help you do more deals, better deals, and bigger deals. Finally, you'll be able to reach your income and lifestyle goals. How? By attracting and leveraging private money partners and their capital. Now get ready to raise more money, because here's your host, Dave Dubeau.
Fantastic, Jillian. So when it comes to growing your portfolio, scaling your portfolio, doing more deals, I understand you and your husband probably got off to a good start on your own financial steam. Did you eventually start working with partners, investors, joint venture partners, that sort of thing? Yeah,
I did, and that's a really exciting part of the real estate journey is when people recognize or see in you that you have a little bit of a track record and more established track record, and they're liking the results they're seeing in your portfolio. And they say, hey, I want to attach my cart to your wagon and let's do this together. And so I've been doing that for a long time now with partners really successfully as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, Jillian, we were talking a little bit before we pressed record on this episode, and I love what you do to kind of get the word out about what you're up to and to grow your network of prospects and potential partners. So walk us through a little bit about what does that look like now, and how did you get started with that?
Well, I got started because I recognized early on, like I alluded to at the beginning of the show, that, I could try to do this by myself, or I could learn from people who are further along the tracks and wiser than me. Like, why invent the wheel when there's plenty of people who are doing what I want to do and who are really successful at it? So I got a coach early on. It was the best decision of my life. And it's funny because people sort of balk at the idea of spending $5,000 or $10,000 for a coach, but in real estate, my goodness, one misstep and you're going to lose way more than that. Yeah. So I hired a coach. I hired Julie Broad as a coach. And one of her first pieces of advice to me was, we need to get you out in front of people talking so that you can establish your credibility in the space. Getting on podcasts, being in front of, going to meetups, being on stage, and just feeling comfortable talking about what you're doing. Because even if you're not the most advanced person in the space, there might be people who are further ahead than you or have a bigger portfolio or more doors or more whatever. The fact of the matter is that you are ahead of someone. And you always have something to learn, again, like whether you're at this stage on the ladder or this stage of the ladder. And that really resonated with me because I always kind of had this imposter syndrome, like, well, there's people who have $bazillion portfolios and mine is this. And, am I an authority enough? And the fact is that we all are an authority to a certain extent. And there's always someone who is looking up to the level you're at saying, I want to learn from you. So I just started talking. I've been on your podcast before. I've been on several podcasts in the front of the room for meetup groups. And just talking about my passion for real estate. And that's where I meet people who get to know me as a person, right? You're like, I like that Jillian. I kind of like what she's up to. And I want to hear more about what she's doing, what her portfolio looks like. And that's really how my joint venture partnerships have started, really organically meeting people face-to-face at events or via podcasts or something like that. Slow and steady, right?
Oh, yeah, slow and steady. That makes sense. But so let's rewind when you got that very wise advice from Julie. Sharp lady. How did you first get started? Like, did you already have some experience speaking in public? Because again, so many people are petrified of the idea of getting up on stage or getting on a podcast or something like that. What?
So I was, but I was seeing success in the strategy I had taken. I could see that what I was doing and where I had started was the right direction. And so I wasn't selling anything. I was talking about what I was doing and why I liked student rentals. So I've never been afraid of talking in public, really. It was more about finding the right people. So Julie, again, helped me with that. Like, I remember she set me up with Quentin D'Souza, and I went to the Durham REI group. And then I met other friends in Hamilton who were doing stuff there. And I spoke at their groups. And then I started like knocking on doors saying, hey, can I be a guest? Can I talk about student rentals? And I just started talking about student rentals. And then, me and my colleagues, Monica Jazik, Rachel Oliver, we actually started a TV show. Like, we approached Rogers Television and said, hey, we're these three women. We have three different strategies. We'd like to start a TV show. But it was really, you just kind of had to let go of the fear and just start talking about, as I say, you just have to start talking about what you're doing, recognizing that no matter where you're at, that can be an authority for someone on the spectrum somewhere.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. No, that's wonderful. And hats off to you. So if somebody's watching this or listening to this and thinking, hey, that's a good idea, how do I go about reaching out to these real estate clubs and getting their attention and getting the opportunity to speak in front of their groups?
Well, I'd say, first of all, you have to just start attending them. Once people get to know your face, you're going to start to get to know the people who are leading them. And it's nothing more than that. It's really about just connecting and doing and putting in some of the time that's required, right? So yeah, you got to get your face out there. Either you're going to do it on social media or you're going to do it in person. There's lots of ways to do this quickly. Some people want to do it on TikTok or on Instagram, and they just put out little reels about what they're doing, or other people are going to do it in person. And neither way is right or wrong. Just one is probably faster, right? But yeah, you got to get your face out there. You got to start talking one way or the other.
Right? You got to let people know what you're up to.
Yeah.
Well, this is fantastic, Jillian. If people want to find out more about you and connect with you, how can they do that?
Well, they can find me through my student rental website, which is called investinstudentrentals.com.
Now, here's what's kind of interesting. After we stopped recording, unfortunately, Gillian told me how well it's worked for her to actually be interviewed on podcasts. In fact, she told me that one of her very first joint venture partners came from an interview she did with me years ago. And I don't even know if that was on the podcast. I don't think it was on the podcast. It was on something else I was doing. I think I was doing Canadian Profits TV or something like that. But anyhow, an interview that I did with her got viewed by somebody who reached out to her and became a joint venture partner. They've done several deals together over the years. And Jillian was saying, and they just cashed out of one of these properties, these student rental properties. They sold it for a hefty profit. She said, just want to thank you, Dave, because I'm taking my whole family on a really, really nice trip, thanks to that one of those joint ventures I did with that gentleman. So getting booked as a guest on other people's podcasts is another amazing, amazing way to get the word out there. And speaking of that, how would you like to be a guest on my podcast? Not on this one, but on my other podcast, Property Profits Real Estate Podcast. Been running that since late 2018. And these days I'm doing something fun, and I'm interviewing a lot of what I call regular folk real estate investors. So yeah, we do interview experts and authors and gurus and all that kind of stuff, but I also want to interview people that are in the trenches day in, day out, actually doing this, whether it's full-time or part-time, whether you got lots of experience or you're just getting started and you've got your first deal on the go or a couple of deals on the go. That's who I'm looking to talk with. So if you're interested in getting featured on my top 100 real estate podcast, then it's pretty simple. You can just find out more and apply at daveinterviewyou.com. All right, till next time, talk to you soon. This episode is brought to you by moneypartnerformula.com. Our Money Partner Formula service allows you to raise all the private capital you need to do all the deals you want while we handle the hard stuff. We offer reliable and affordable done-for-you marketing services that get you investor meetings booked without all the work. So go ahead and check out the website right now, and then feel free to schedule a call with me, and let's take your portfolio to the next level. Again, that's moneypartnerformula.com. Watch investor meetings pop up in your calendar. We handle the rest.